welcome to today's episode of Abraham's Tent. I'm Cory Miller, and this is my friend and co-host Joe Herring. How you doing, Joe?
Doing very well.
Great.
One of the things I would love to discuss today is strategy. You know, we've been on the losing side of strategy for pretty much the last 8 years. What we've seen is after Obama was originally elected and they began Obamacare and all of that, we had our side really ramp up, and they brought massive change at that following midterm election. And then that was it. Nothing. Zero. Those that we elected to fight surrendered instead, and things got worse. So we did it again. Same thing, again and again and again. And the reason we were so ineffective is because, A, we didn't have a coherent strategy, and B, we weren't willing to make use of the psychology and the numbers, right?
Yeah.
What has Trump done? He's doing things exactly the way Obama did it, but he's doing it for
Even
good
smarter.
things. Correct. One of the problems that I used to have as a writer, covering all of these scenes and insults to the Constitution, was how in the world do I keep up? No sooner do I begin researching one insult to the Constitution based on an executive order that was illegally done, then he's already passed that and moved on to an even worse one. So as a consequence, it became very, very difficult to oppose the man, because at some point you were left with just sitting there going, stop.
It's the groundhog game.
Exactly.
You're trying to beat it.
Whack-a-mole.
Yeah, whack-a-mole. Absolutely.
Right. And now Trump has done something very similar, and you're watching the left react with fury, because no sooner does he do one executive order on a very weighty subject,
Boom.
that he follows it with another one. And before opposition can coalesce, he's moved on to the next phase. So you end up with things like we saw recently at Berkeley, where all they could do was stamp their feet and light things on fire. You know, that brings me to what I'd like to talk about regarding executive orders. You know, one of the shibboleths on the left is calling us out, we conservatives, that you hated executive orders. You were always after Obama for his executive orders, and now Trump is using executive orders and you don't care.
Context.
Exactly. We didn't have a problem with executive orders. Executive orders are the way the executive, the president, directs his agencies in the executive branch to implement the laws that are passed by Congress, to implement his policies. You do not get to legislate with an executive order. You don't get to countermand existing law with an executive order. That's the province of a king or a tyrant. That's what we had a problem with, and that's what we argued against and fought against, was when he would use executive orders to usurp authority that was not his own, authority that the Constitution specifically said he couldn't have.
Yes.
That's a big difference. But sometimes it's just easier to skim the surface when you're talking about demonizing the other side. You know, we live in a meme-directed world where, unfortunately, it seems that more and more of the younger generation is forming their political identities around internet memes, not going any deeper.
Yeah, no depth at all.
None. They don't see. You know, one of the other interesting things that's been happening came out of this Muslim ban, as they keep calling it, which we all know is an executive order that just wisely says, we can't verify who you are, so until we can,
We need to know who's coming.
we'd like you to
Very
stay
simple.
there.
Yeah. You would do that at your
Very-
home. Somebody rings the door. You look out the window first and say, who are you?
Very reasonable, very prudent. Well, what's happening now is a resistance that is involving lawfare. Lawfare is a way that Muslim Brotherhood-oriented and connected front groups have used to silence their critics frequently. They will, somebody like us, who calls them out on a particular connection that they have to a terror organization all of a sudden gets hit with a massive lawsuit that they are unable themselves individually to afford to defend.
Absolutely.
So what happens? They're silenced. CARE and ISNA have been doing that for quite some time. Well, what we're finding here is not only are the usual suspects stepping forward, but people within the bureaucracy are stepping forward in support as well.
Unelected public officials.
Who are showing allegiances that really they're not supposed to have in those roles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at the resistance that's being organized to this, it is a veritable who's who of Muslim Brotherhood front groups and their associated operations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think of it this way. Sometimes a hunter will lay bait because he wants to see what critter's going to come to eat it. I wonder if perhaps that didn't play a little bit of a role in Trump's thinking on this.
Laying the bait.
And they are
all over the bait.
Yeah, thanks for the assist.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The list is being made.
Yeah. So tell me what you think about this. We've got a new Supreme Court justice coming. Do you know much about him? Have you had a chance?
You know, I think anybody that comes from Boulder, Colorado, I grew up not far from there. I think anybody that comes from Boulder and maintains...
Is stoned.
Well, it is either stoned or very, very true to their beliefs. And maybe the stoned are too, very true to their beliefs. But, you know, certainly he is... I think he is as good a choice as could have been made. He is everything that I can tell, everything that we could have hoped for. Possibly... I think people might like to have seen someone a little bit more aggressive even, but I don't know that that's even been shown. They say he's an incredible writer. His opinions have been shown to be very easy to understand. A lot of really, really good things. And of course, even though the Democrats, you know, unanimously waved him through the last time, they're going to put up a fight and call him a racist and all the typical things that the progressives like to do.
Well, a lot of it is now revolving around this stolen seat meme.
Yeah.
That for some,
Obama didn't get it, but his
right.
Yeah.
Because the Republicans refuse to examine or provide an up or down vote for Merrick Garland, Obama's choice for the seat.
There are those that would say they shouldn't have killed Scalia if they didn't want a seat to be stolen. I'm just saying.
That unfortunately, and for those attorneys who are viewing us, that is pure speculation done in the terms of entertainment. You know, the only thing I can really say to the whole stolen seat argument is, to quote former President Barack Obama, elections have consequences. We won, get over it.
Yes.
You know, Gorsuch is a very, very solid, strict constructionist. You see, you'll hear judges being described as conservative or liberal in the media. You'll hear, you know, all media.
Sure.
You'll hear people on the right and the left using those descriptions. But in reality, judges are neither conservative nor are they liberal. Judges are either ones who respect the law or ones who do not.
And judges are supposed to be blind.
Correct. Judges do not make law. Judges do not in any way enforce law. Judges examine law as written in light of constitutionality, in light of application. A Supreme Court justice doesn't care what the politics are. The Supreme Court justice is just supposed to look at the law in front of him and determine whether or not it sidesteps or otherwise violates the Constitution.
Absolutely.
Now, here's where I think we're going to find the hill that the left is going to try to die on in these confirmation hearings. And that is a article that then Judge Gorsuch wrote for National Review back in 2005, where I don't have the exact quote, but in essence he said the liberal left in America is addicted to using the courts to affect an agenda that they could not get done legislatively.
To which they take offense, obviously.
Because that's exactly what they do. You know, what he's talking about, knowing that he recognizes that clearly and that he is a staunch opponent of it, well, he's talking about taking away their greatest weapon. Think of it, Cory. Can you think of a single major initiative from the left, major social policy or anything, of the last 50 years, other than Obamacare, which was held up by activism?
That wasn't enacted through the Supreme Court.
Correct. That did not come through by judicial fiat.
Roe v. Wade, all of these have been thrown through.
All of these things have all come through. If you took away the ability to use the courts to affect policy, the left has
would have nothing.
at all.
Absolutely.
That's what we're up against here. That's what we're fighting.